Okay, so once you get your 4 pieces, 2 of the smaller, the 1.5 inches, and 2 of the 2 inches, then we're going to glue these pieces together so that we have one long strip of each color. There's the 1.5, and then we're going to glue the other end so that we make a circle. Okay, there's the 1.5 inch. Put some of these aside here so that I don't have this all down, confusing everybody. I don't think I brought any glue sticks in here. Can you go check glue sticks for me, please?
Where they at?
Yeah, I did. Never mind. So this is 2 inches by 24 inches. And we're going to turn this one into a circle also. Just by gluing the 2 end pieces together. Okay, now we're going to fold these down, and this is a little bit tricky. So we're going to fold these down to make a circle.
I'll put this in my room. It cools down, and I don't think it was.
And you got to hold on to it because it will spring back. That's why we're going to use a glue stick. If you don't, or the glue gun. If you don't have a glue gun, it's going to take more hands and holding on to it because when you let go, it springs back. So we're going to use a hot glue, put these back together because they dry quicker, and then you can have your hands free. Then I'm going to put a dab on the bottom side too, just to make sure it's in there good and solid. And there is one. That's the smaller one, so that'll be the one on top of mine. But you can do them a single layer, and that's okay too. Whatever you want. Now we're going to try and do this one. And this is the 2 inch. Now, even though these strips are at 2 inches, the ornament's going to be about 4 inches across when you're finished. Now, I'm waiting for that hot glue to cool down a little bit when I'm trying to take the top off so I don't burn myself. So that's when you see me doing that. I'm just trying to make sure it stays flat. But I'm not doing it right away. Now we've been trying to learn to edit these a bit, so I can stick some information. I did do a little research on these, that they came out of Germany and what people were doing in the 1950s. But I thought it would be fun this year to do the tree a little bit more nostalgic. Now the one thing I learned on doing these is you want to get that edge on there of the glitter first before you stack them. The first one I did, I stacked them and had to go back over it. Now, so we're going to do that first before we start building this up. So you can use whatever color glitter that you want. Right now we're going to use the gold, but I also have silver. They come in a pack at the Dollar Tree, and you get 4 different colors. I think I got red and green at the Dollar Tree. So right now I'm going to use the gold because, that's what I've got out. And I used the Mod Podge. So let's see. Get me another paper plate so I don't mess up the glitter. On that, if you would. There we go. So I'm going to roll this around in the Mod Podge for the glue. Now I do have a squeeze bottle of glue glitter that you can touch up with afterwards or go over it if you prefer. It's just doing it this way just makes it a little bit fuller. And if I've got any spots once it dries, I can go back over it with the squeeze bottle. So I've used both. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a little bit and do the same thing with the 1.5 inch. And there is the 1.5 inch, which ends up being 3 inches across, or this one is 4 inches across. Okay, we're going to set this aside. Now you can stack these up while they're still wet and drying. You don't have to wait for them to completely dry. I've found that it still works just fine. Doesn't mess it up too much. Since they are handmade, they're not going to be perfect anyway. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put them together so you can see how that's done. So I just make sure it's centered a bit. Now I went on the internet to look for the pictures that I want. I chose the angels. Now you can choose whatever you want, but you can print off anything off the internet. Now there are some things that require you to buy. That's up to you. but I found there was a lot available that you don't have to buy. And since we're trying to make our own, I mean, you can find all kinds of things to put in it, or if you have old Christmas cards, it's a good way to use them up too. So again, you don't have to have any fancy equipment. I do have a few things, but you don't have to. So I cut out their faces in a circle. I used my scrapbooking thing that has a scalloped edge circle. But draw any circle. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. A cookie cutter, an end of a pill bottle. I mean, anything that gets you a circle. And then just cut out the face. Now, I did the same thing on the face as I did around the edges here with the glue. You don't have to. I just wanted to glitter it up because a lot of these ornaments from the 1950s have a lot of glitter, tinsel, all the glittery stuff. The old Christmas cards used to have a lot of pretty glitter and stuff on it. So it was just a good way to get them all glittery. So I'm going to do the same thing with her head. Give me that one. It's got more on it. And then we're going to set this aside while we make her wings. So on the wings, I made them out of toilet paper rolls. I have a few here to show you. The only thing you've got to remember is you have opposites. So make sure you get one going one way and one going the other way. They're really the same pattern, so just, make sure when you put them on that they're opposites. And then we glittered both sides. So I'm going to show you here. I used paper towel roll, and I just drew out little wings. Now, once I got the design that I want, that I drew out, I then traced it around so that they were all the same. Traced around the one that I thought was the best one that I had. But again, they have wings, angel wings on the internet too, if you get on Pinterest, that you can print off also. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. But then I cut them out of the toilet paper roll. And then I glittered both sides. Some of these might not be, but I glittered both sides. Whatever choice of glitter that you want, just make sure that you have them opposite. Yeah, there's one that's not glittered on the back yet. Another one. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so I'm going to put the face on first, but I'm only going to glue in the center of it so that I can place the wings on back and put them in the placement that I want. Now, I've seen some of these where they had put maybe a gathered lace or a gathered tulle around there, and that is pretty too. This one here, I used a plastic snowflake that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I saw many like that when I was looking on Pinterest. So I put the face on that in between. So there's lots of things you can do. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. But I just wanted to give everybody an idea of things that you could do in making your Christmas decorations this year. I'm putting them on, trying to make sure they're a little even, like that. And then to make the halo, I just took a piece of a pipe cleaner and wrapped it around 2 fingers and twisted it a bit to keep it steady. Now we're going to have to flatten this pipe cleaner a little bit so that it can fit and not stick out way too far. Now, and I just stuck it behind the head circle a bit. Now, just to decorate it up a little bit, I also put a little piece of ribbon there, but that's completely up to you. I have a little bit of green ribbon here. I'll just make a little bow and glue it right at the base of the halo. A little bow. On some of these, I put a little poinsettia. Like I said, they can be decorated any way, and it doesn't have to be an angel. I made one for Mom yesterday that had a cardinal on it. Now, on the back, since we have two sides and it's going to hang, so you can probably see both sides, I just cut one of the angels out. Now, with Mom's with the cardinal, I just cut another circle out with that cutter there for scrapbooking of a different cardinal. So she had a different one on the front, different one on the back. So I didn't cut anything out for hers. Now, what I took on when I cut them out, I have these ink pad things, and I just went around the edge so that, one, it distresses a little bit, but it takes away that raw edge a bit, so it doesn't look like I just cut it out. It looked like it came that way. So, but again, I mean, that's completely up to whatever you have. You have these. If you don't, even I don't know. I've seen things like you could, if you have a brown marker, you could run it along the side of the edge around it. Makeup. If you have powder makeup, that would work too. Just or nothing at all. I mean, you're making it. It's handmade. It's handmade by you, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It was just something that I did to kind of age it up a little bit. And then I took a smaller one of those cutters and cut out a smaller one. And I'm going to glue and glitter around the edge of that for a halo. But, that was just a little extra something. like that. And then I just glued it down the center of the back. It's just decorating up the back a bit because you might see it while it twirls around on the tree. Now what I'm going to do a little bit in here so it's not so stark white, again, just to add a little bit more to it, is I'm going to use this glitter glue, and I'm going to put little dabs in between and use a paintbrush to spread it around a little bit, just to age the back a little bit like I did this one. That's what I'm going to do with that. Use an old paintbrush. That one's really hard, but it'll work. I'm just going to spread it around so there's a little bit of glitter everywhere. And just like that. Well, the one thing I didn't make sure is their heads matched up at the top. So the last thing you're going to need to do is to glue on a piece of ribbon so you can hang it. But yeah, you got to make sure your heads match, or you got one sideways and one straight up and down, which I'll fix it here in a minute. I just took a strip of the thin ribbon, tied a knot at the top, trimmed it back, and then find out where your top is and glue it down in there. I'm going to use something to stuff it down in there so I don't burn my finger. But there we go. Can't see with my glasses on. There we go. And we'll let it dry a bit. And then you end up with, I don't have ties on these. Okay, something like that.
I think I'm fixable.
Nah, I can fix it. I just wasn't paying attention. I know the first time that we did this, I made a point of saying, make sure that you get it straight up and down.
Glue on a different one.
Well, they're handmade, so it happens. That's why we need to edit.
Nah, it'll be fine. People like watching this a little bit more. Because you messed up. That's just how people are. Makes people feel better about themselves.
I'm going to have to edit that. Okay, so we want to make sure their heads are both pointing the same direction. And it's still off. This one definitely giving me some trouble. Well, it is what it is. There we go. So that's the back. And that's the front. We'll take the glue strings off and try again. There we go. There's the back. And there's the front. An angel rosette. We need to get out